Welcome back to Is It Still Good? I'm Bear Kennedy in Chicago. Joining me, as always, today,
Cleanse Boy in Los Angeles, California.
Sucking on that juice, baby.
Yep, still on the cleanse. I got 6 days left. I got the straw in my mouth right now.
Work it.
It's terrible. No, actually, chocolate shake is good. The vanilla shake in the morning sucks. It's just like powdery, and it tastes like medicine. It tastes like somebody's.
Medicine. It's good for you.
It tastes like somebody's forcing you to have it, even though this was all my choice, which is just the
That's
worst.
Appropriate.
Yeah.
Is it still good? This is just the two grown-up film students who hate growing up. And if you are just listening to the show for the first time, this is the show where we look at things of our youth. We look at the culture. We look back. We examine items. We take a pair of rose-colored glasses and we send it back in time to murder our own mother so that we are never born, so that we never have to do this show. But unfortunately, the humans also send someone back in time who stops it. And so we have no choice but to reevaluate all this stuff.
Well, thank God.
With those glasses off. So that's what's going on. And today, what are we examining?
We are examining Unsolved Mysteries, which has recently been rebooted on Netflix. So Bear and I watched the new stuff, and we went back and watched some old episodes. Now, Bear, you grew up with the show, watching this show. Is that right?
In a large way. This was a staple of my viewing as a child, which is weird given that it's very adult in its presentation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'd really forgotten how much of a part of my life Unsolved Mysteries was until this past week when I watched a shitload of it. But I'm pretty sure like my older cousins or something got me into it when we were just hanging out watching TV, because it used to be on a lot, it seemed like it. I don't remember the day of the week it was on, though I did look it up, and it was in like the prime time middle of the week lineup for a while, and then went to Friday nights. And I know for sure it was in syndication forever, because I remember watching it in high school and shit too. But I was super into the show. And
why do you think you were so into it at such a young age? And by the way, how old were you when you started watching it?
I don't remember. I mean, I remember watching it very regularly in high school in the summer, because it used to be on Lifetime, had it like middle of the day all the time, which is really weird that it was on Lifetime. But such was the
That was one of the many
TV
networks.
rights.
It was on like 5 networks. There were so many iterations of it.
Oh yeah. I probably got into it when I was probably like 8 or 9 years old. And that took me through till probably the end of high school. I don't remember the last time I watched it, but I do remember it, being like with my family. Adults are downstairs, kids are upstairs watching Unsolved Mysteries, getting the living shit scared out of me. So I don't know. I love this show. I think it was probably one of the first things I watched that was not geared towards kids, and it was fucking fascinating. And I don't know why, but even as a kid, I liked Robert Stack, which is strange because he's kind of a humorless, dour presence throughout the original shows, at least. But he's fucking awesome.
But he's so trustworthy.
He is.
Like, you can tell, even as a kid, you're like, I like this guy. Like, I remember seeing Airplane when I was 12 and just thinking, like, this guy's the man. And when he walks through the airport and just beats everyone up. It's great.
He's way dead, too. He died like 18 years ago.
He died 2003,
He's fucking mummified by this point. But he had a long career before Unsolved Mysteries, but fuck, I know him as the Unsolved Mysteries guy. I love it. And in the new version, they've got like a silhouette of him in the credits right at the end when the title comes open. I can tell you were hitting skip intro, which is bullshit.
No, I wasn't. You mean the end of the, like, when the song?
Yeah,
finishes?
when the title credits are happening with the song and it says Unsolved Mysteries, there's like an outline of his bust, basically like from nipples up.
I totally missed that.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
Ah, fuck, I missed that.
Little
I might have
homage to
actually,
our
now
man.
that I think about it, I might have hit skip intro like once or twice. Because there were times, you know what it was? There were times when like the intro was going and Zoe and I were like still getting ready for bed, so we like had it playing and we were brushing our teeth or whatever while it was playing, so we probably just missed that part. But
this is an unpopular opinion, but I think you should watch the intro to things. Maybe this is an old school way of watching TV, but I want to set the scene appropriately. Like, I want the theme music. I want the credits.
Even if
I
you've
don't want to
seen it a
skip
million
through
times?
that shit. If I've seen it a million times, maybe not, but I want that full experience. I want it as the
I know.
people who made it intended. I don't want
I know what you're saying.
to just skip through that.
I just
Especially
don't like...
when like the cold opens on the new show are good. And then, it gets you into it, and then you sit through the credits, you have that experience. So.
Yeah, but like I don't like opening credits in general. I think we talked about this on a Goofy movie.
We did.
But I just like, so I don't know, man. Like if I'm, and especially if I'm rewatching, like I've been rewatching the OC. You're welcome.
That is,
yeah,
we're really trying to do your best to bury the lead there. Jesus,
we'll have to do.
That's not for the show.
We'll have to do an episode on that. So, but every time the California song, I just skip till it's over. Like because HBO Max doesn't have a skip intro option, which HBO Max, if you're listening, that'd be great. But no, maybe they think like you.
They do, because HBO shows had the best opening credits ever.
That's true.
The Sopranos opening credits were dope.
Yeah.
The Wire always had good ones, and it changed every season.
I remember, you know what?
Game of Thrones has sick opening credits.
Yeah, the song is amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
but you know what? Opening credits I love Veep because they're like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But they're funny. Like, I gotta say, they're really great because it starts like, Myers rise and then it's Myers fall. Yeah. Like, every time. It's great.
Well, same thing with Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like, those are fast, but that's, for their
just
fast
the
shows,
song.
they do fast credits.
That's the one show where I'm like, you have to have it.
It sets the mood. It's part of the overall experience. So I am not a fan of skipping the opening credits. I actually will often watch the end credits too because people work fucking hard and you should let their name cast across your cornea.
For sure. Zoe's like, when something's over, it's over. Like, she's like, all right. And I'm like, no, we have to finish these.
No,
so like,
you gotta have that quiet time to reflect it, especially if you just got like destroyed by something. You just saw The Crying Game for the first time. You have to like process that for.
I've never seen that
3 minutes. Oh, you're in for a treat. I love that movie.
Who's in The Crying Game again?
Forrest Whitaker, Stephen Ray, and I forget the main other person. I forget that actor's name, but good movie.
All
Very
right,
good.
I'll check it out.
Great example of a movie that has a really, really good script, and the movie itself doesn't hold up as well as the script. Like, the filmmaking is not as good as the writing, and there's not that many movies like that, but I believe it won the Oscar for Best Screenplay and didn't win Best Picture, and it's a great example of when that can happen.
I feel like I just watched a movie that has been considered that. However, I don't know what you think about this movie, but I'm just going to throw it out there because everybody's been telling me for years, and I've just been well, not everybody's been telling me, but I've just been hearing like through the fucking grapevine, like, gotta see this movie, excellent movie. It's just a great movie. And I recently looked it up. It's voted like the best sports film of all time, Bull Durham, and I did not like it at all. Like,
that's on the week that baseball is coming back to America, you're going to announce that you don't like Bull Durham.
Oh shit, you're right. See, this is, but you know what it is? Yeah, and like, look, maybe it's I don't give a look. I don't really give a shit about sports, but I will say the one sport, and I've been, I'm around a lot of people who like basketball, and basketball movies I do like, and I don't know, like, I like He Got Game and
Air Bud
and like
Joanna Man,
like
the
Mike.
Classics.
Yeah, the best ones. No, but like, I just thought Bull Durham, for me personally, I thought that when I read stuff about it after, I was like, oh, that like is an interesting take, like how they describe how like Ron Shelton, the writer-director, was describing how, like, Kevin Costner was playing a guy who loved something more than it loved him, like baseball. And I thought that was really interesting, but I just didn't really care. I just wasn't into it, like, from pretty early on. Like, I didn't think... I don't know. I didn't really love Susan Sarandon. I didn't love, like, Tim... I don't know. I just didn't... It wasn't for me. Like, it just wasn't for me. It was just very fair. Dated. It felt very dated. It didn't feel like it was... a timeless story. But again, when he said that, like, that angle, I was like, oh, I like that angle. That's an interesting character angle. But it just was not my cup of tea.
You said Bull Durham felt dated. How did you feel the old Unsolved Mysteries episodes felt?
Dated, but they had a charm.
Okay,
because
go on.
You know what it was? It reminded me of the It miniseries.
Yes. Same time period, I believe, like 88-ish.
Yeah, 88.
Which is when Unsolved Mysteries started.
I think 88, yeah, and then the It miniseries was 1990. Like, even down to the music.
Yeah,
like the
music is fucking tits.
It's awesome. Yeah.
With that bass hit, boom, boom. Like, that shit's been in my mind, like, just for a week, and I've been loving it.
And the synth, like, as it leads in. It's awesome. Yeah. So... I watched 2 of the older episodes. I watched the first one ever.
Sweet.
Like from season 1 that was Robert Stack was hosting. And I watched season 5, episode 18. And it was the one with Rainboy. With the guy whose, like, grandpa died. But then, like, every time, like, he was in a room, it would, like, rain. And the stuff that I found cheesy were the reenactments. They were so fucking funny. Like... There was a moment in that episode of Rainboy when they're like, you know, cops came over, and then like, it was like 2 cops and like the chief in his pajamas, and like you could tell that the director was just like, you know, just be a, you know, just, you know, you're the chief and it's the middle of the night, so you're upset that they woke you up, you know, this better be good. Yeah. And then he literally says...
was awful.
Yeah, he literally says, this better be good, guys. It's the middle of the night. I just woke up.
just like, such a bad written decision. Like, just narrate exactly what's happening with your dialogue.
Exactly. And then, like...
I can't believe it's the middle of the night and I'm at this house I don't know.
Yeah, and then, like, all his friends were like, this keeps happening. The acting is so bad. And, like, dude, when I used to act a little bit, one of my first paid, I'll never forget this, my first paid TV, and I put TV in quotes, gig was it was for this show called, oh God, what was it? Like, it had murder in the title. Murder Book, and it was on a channel called ID, Investigation Discovery.
Was this about a book that commits murder?
No, it was a reenactment show, and I was like in the reenactment, and like
Did you get killed?
No, I was a glorified extra. Like, I was a background actor, but I was like featured or whatever. But like, nice. I got there being like, oh, I wonder what I'm gonna be doing, and then like there was basically an extra, and it was like there was like some murder in Florida, and I don't know what. I have the episode somewhere. And it was like, I remember I downloaded the episode because at the time I was like, I gotta get stuff for my acting reel, right? So I downloaded the episode for like $2 on YouTube. I was like, great, now I can screen record this and get it. And then I got it, and I was like, I was there, but like just in the background, I was like, there's nothing I can use this. Like, I can't use any of this. Like, this sucks.
Yeah, you're better off using the pay stub at that point.
Yeah, and I waited like, you know, months or whatever. Yeah, it sucked. But the reenactments are always like the funniest part.
I agree, and I watched that episode as well, and I'll put it in the show description, but I sent Carter IO9's list of like the 12 weirdest cases on Unsolved Mysteries, because they are all... Right now you can watch every episode on YouTube. They just have them all. So you can kind of watch them at will. And that's kind of what I use to navigate the old stuff as well. There's a lot of shit on there.
Right.
So I watched Rainboy, and I think as a kid watching this, I didn't realize that they were reenactments because you don't really know how TV works as a child. I think I was older when it kind of dawned on me that, oh, they didn't just have a camera to record these events. Like, they're restaging them. That's why I think it was so effective as a kid, because it just kind of blends together. Plus, you have Robert Stack doing voiceover, which gives an air of authority to what you're seeing.
Right.
Which is especially awesome when they get into some of the really, really fucking weird stuff, like aliens, like the Rainboy, that's kind of peppered in around more innocuous tales. Like, they do Lost Loves, which is actually very nice. The thing about the reenactments is, like, yeah, they're not great. I thought they were going to be worse rewatching them now. Like, it's not porn level acting, but it's really kind of it is the most dated part of revisiting the old stuff. And what I kind of realized too is that TV does not age as well as film does, and I think that's because TV is more of the moments, and TV kind of evolves in a one-way linear nature, and especially recently, things that are produced for TV are produced more cinematically, at least in the last 20 years or so.
Oh yeah.
So if you are on the younger side and maybe you haven't watched old TV, it doesn't look like a movie. It looks like TV. For a long, long time, there was a very big difference in the kind of actors that would do TV versus movie, in the way that TV was constructed. So going back to some of these episodes that are from the 90s or even like the late 80s, the first thing you notice is that standard def looks like absolute dog shit. Yeah. And the second thing is, like, the lighting, the acting, the staging, camera angles, everything.
The special effects.
The special effects for the time were good. And it's interesting that they use them, which I appreciated.
I agree for the time.
But it has aged poorly.
Yeah, and then Rainboy, like, when he keeps flying back, like, it's just funny. And
it's just journeyman, TV making. These are people like you that showed up for a job. Yeah. And dudes being like, well, now we got to hook you up to the rig so you can fly back and all this stuff.
And that's what was so weird about doing a show like that murder book thing I did. This was like 5 years. This was only 5 years ago. And it's like, it felt so dated to be doing something like that. When they when I got there and they were like, oh, it's a reenactment, I was like, wait, that's still a thing? Like, and this is how you're shooting it? Like, and I even watched it back, and it wasn't a modern reenactment. It was similar to those older episodes. What I appreciated about the newer episodes is the reenactments were nonverbal. They were stylized, and they were more just they were blurry. So, because you know what it is, like, especially with the older episodes, when you see them interviewing the real subject and then you see an actor playing them, they're not the same person. And that always takes me out. And I appreciated how, with the newer episodes...
Yeah, how did you feel about the newer episodes just as a whole?
It's interesting. So, I watched all of them.
Me too.
And I thought the first one, the third one, and the last one were not only my favorites, but I thought they were, like, the good ones.
So the first one is the dude who falls through the hole.
The dude who falls through the hole in Baltimore. The third one is the French family who was murdered by the patriarch. And the last one is that mom who
clearly
killed her daughter, who saw her murder her ex-husband. And the reason I liked them was because it felt like the stakes were high. They felt like just creepy and like Zoe and I were genuinely freaked out after the Murder House one.
Yeah.
Or like House of Terror or whatever. We just couldn't believe that like a father could do that. The first one was a little frustrating in terms of like that there was like no explanation for why this guy like left the house, and even his wife was like, I think he got into something and we don't know what it is, but like that's the point. That's why it's frustrating. So it definitely left us wondering, like, what did he get into?
That's a good point. I was talking to a friend who'd watched these too, and she said, "Yeah, I like it, but I don't like things that are unresolved." And I was like, "Well, I got bad fucking news about the name of this show."
Yeah, it's not like we didn't mind the lack of resolution. We were just like, or at least me, I was just like, oh man, like, what did he get into? I wish there was like, and again, you can't help it if they don't have evidence, but I wish there was something of like, when he moved to Baltimore, he was like selling drugs on the side, and that's why, like something like that. That just would have made it like even more engrossing for me. But either way, I still was like very, very into it.
So you didn't miss the reenactments or the voiceover?
No.
Because those are gone in the new one.
Yeah.
Both the elements are... There's no host.
There's no host, right. There's no...
Every episode is just one mystery, too.
Right.
The old ones, they would do like 3 to 4.
Well, what's interesting is, like, so I watched the first old one I watched was the Rainboy one, which also had... God, what else is in that episode? The Rainboy. I watched a lot. Rainboy is so memorable.
Was the main event.
Oh, and it was there was the one that was the little girl who was adopted, and then played with her friend whose parents then abandoned her, and then her friend was adopted by that girl's biological parents.
Yeah, and she just wanted to find
her sister, right? And they found out they were sisters. But like, yeah, when she was adopted by her biological parents, they were like giving her back to her actual parents, which is fucking crazy. One thing I thought after watching that was like, okay, the first one, the original incarnation of the show is much lighter, but I just watched the very first episode of Unsolved Mysteries, and so there's the haunting of the Queen Mary, which is not far.
You can stay on it too if you want.
You can.
Yeah, which I didn't do, but I would love to, and it's very old and very cool.
Yeah, I've actually never been on it, but I've been meaning to for years. And there was that one, and then there was some wanted criminal who I that one I didn't really, it wasn't that compelling. But the final one was a woman named Gayle in Maine who went on a blind date, and I put blind date in quotes because you'll see why, and she disappeared right after, and so they were like looking like,
well, it was a date for one of them.
Yeah, but that here, so hear me out. So like, what if I was like, no, just shut the fuck up. So so she went on this blind date, and she didn't come home, and so her teenage sons were like, where's mom? Maybe she had a great time, something like that. And then they declared her a missing person. They found her car in like the Howard Johnson parking lot, which is where she said she went to meet this guy. And then they found like keys next to the car, but she wasn't there. Then some kid was going on a walk and found a purse with her ID in it, but no money. And then, they were like, as of today, and Robert Stack, voiceover, as of today, no one has found Gayle or whatever. But then the episode ends with an update. And now
which they used to do all the time.
Right, they did that all the time. But here's the thing. So the update was when it aired in 1988, the update was from 6 weeks later. And it was on a different episode. But what's great is that they have these updates of like the family watched the show, and this is what they found, or the people watched the show and found it. So this update comes on, and it was a doctor in, I think it was somewhere in the Midwest. This update came on, and a doctor in the Midwest said that Gayle had been found dead in a hotel. She was an unidentified woman, and she had taken her own life. She died of a drug overdose. So basically, what happened was she staged her own disappearance, and then very soon after she disappeared, she flew to this Midwestern city, wherever it was. I'm blanking on
Peoria.
Where. Yeah, let's call it Peoria, Illinois. There you go. And she stayed in a hotel and took her own life because she and what they also said was that she had been suffering from depression. She had been on medication. She had been writing in her diary like, I really want to find somebody. I really need to find a partner. I really want to find a partner. I'm so lonely. And so that shook me. That was very dark.
Yeah.
And that was the first fucking episode. So then I was like, oh, okay. So they got into dark shit back then too. And there is something different about watching dark shit now versus dark shit then, because that was the thing about the new ones. As much as I enjoyed those 3 that I mentioned, The other three were not memorable at all to me. And
wow, that's interesting because I probably liked. I always liked the alien shit. I think I watched it as a kid specifically hoping that they'd run the alien shit because remember, like, again, we were kids in the 90s. You didn't get to choose what was on TV.
Right.
Like, Unsolved
right.
Mysteries was on at 1 in the afternoon.
That's what you were watching.
And you just had to put it on and hope that they had some stuff you wanted to see.
Right.
So I think the alien stuff used to keep me coming back because I loved that stuff. I loved how they presented it as if it was a fact. They never really made fun of the people or winked at the camera.
Right.
Ever.
That's true.
They just let these people tell the stories, and even if the reenactments were like a little cheesy, they didn't make it like, oh, this is ridiculous. It's, here's this person's tale.
Right, yeah.
Do you have any other information that fits with this? And that was it. So it was interesting that they would always present stuff and in sequence, like next to a missing persons type segment that did resolve. The next one would be, and now we're going to talk about Bigfoot in the same tone.
Yeah, right.
Which is awesome. That's just
Yeah.
awesome. That is my exact level of interest in shit is never breaking the tone of we're going to examine this stuff and we don't care.
I think the thing with the aliens stuff for me personally is I just don't know if I believe in it. I don't know if I...
That's what makes it so fascinating.
But that's my thing is like...
these people is like, this ruined my life. Why would I lie about it? I fucking hated being abducted.
That's true. Like, there was a part of me that was like, okay, these people aren't lying. But at the same time, I'm just like aliens have been, like, not ruined for me, but they've just been like... So I've been so desensitized to stories about them because of Hollywood movies. So I just, like, every time I hear an alien story or an alien abduction story or something, I just think of, you know, Independence Day or like, you know, one that, or Signs, which is I love Signs personally. I think Independence Day sucks, but I love Signs.
I know Independence Day is bad, but I would do an episode on Signs immediately.
Signs is great, yeah.
I liked it,
but it's like, it's like I just think about that, and so maybe I'm a little underwhelmed by alien stories, if you will. But the biggest thing that I felt with all of the new episodes was, again, as much as I enjoyed those three that I mentioned, they didn't necessarily feel specific to Unsolved Mysteries. They just felt like another murder series because of the way they were constructed and executed.
That's an interesting take, and I
because there's so much true crime stuff, and
there is
I just watched Tiger King, and I just watched the Aaron Hernandez story, and like both of those had specific things about them that made them what they are as a work of art. I'm just talking about the work of art, the entertainment value, and it felt like these stories could have been on any murder docuseries or something. I agree with you. Having said that, it didn't make them bad, and they did all have the lack of resolution in common, and so that's clearly why they were, Unsolved Mysteries. But so while I did like them, it's not like I was blown away. Like I was like a murder docuseries that I watched years ago that blew my fucking mind was The Jinx.
I've only watched like 2 episodes.
Oh my god!
I don't know why I didn't finish it. I liked it, but
finish it! I was screaming at my TV. I think the second to last episode, there's some big revelation, and I was just like, oh! Like I couldn't believe it. And that one is so interesting because the director of that series had made a narrative movie about the guy who then became the subject of the Jinx, Robert Durst. Ryan Gosling
Fred's dad.
Yeah, Fred's dad, right. You're right. Mr. Biscuit. Mr. Bizkit. But like he made a movie called All Good Things with Ryan Gosling that's inspired by like some of those murders, and then it was so it was interesting that he got in touch with like the real guy, and then made the docuseries, and then it all comes together in such an interesting way. But it was so fascinating and so compelling, and I just couldn't turn it off. I binged it in probably like a day or two. And again, Zoe and I watched all the new ones like over the course of 3 nights last week.
Yeah.
And again, we were entertained, and I'm definitely when more episodes come out, I'll definitely check them out. But
no, I agree with you though. I think it is a name recognition grab,
yes,
more than anything, because like I said, I don't watch a ton of this kind of TV, though I've seen shit that's been out there, and some of it's better than others, and some of it does warrant a longer docu-series investigation, and some of it just fucking doesn't.
Right.
So I liked the new ones a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
I didn't mind, some of the criticism I read about it when it came out, this was just like 2 weeks ago, was that it didn't have a host, you didn't have that narrating force, it didn't do reenactments in the same way. But I think that those were good choices. I mean, Robert Stack is way gone. The reenactments, when you watch them in the past, they don't play as well. Now that you're grown up, that's fucking fake.
Right.
So I think that was a good choice. I like that some of them are very engaging. I actually thought the one where the kid gets left at that party alone and ends up getting murdered, that one to me, played like a horror film. Like I thought I
forgot about that one.
That one is really
good.
bothered
That one
me.
is true. Yeah. Not true. That one is good. Like
that one bugged me. I felt like I was watching something unravel in real time, and I 100% think he got set up by his friends for that.
Oh god, that breaks my heart.
And I don't know that was supposed to be the takeaway, but when his good friend from Topeka was like, I've never met any of these friends, like all these fucking dudes were in on this. Maybe they didn't mean to do a lynching, but that's what happened, and it's fucked up.
And his friend from Topeka was like, why would you leave your friend alone?
Yeah.
With no one that he knew. Yeah, that's a really good point. That one really grabbed me. That one brought me in. I like the House of Terror one as well, and I thought that was interesting that they basically knew the guy did it, but they are having trouble finding him. Right.
But to me, I think the most interesting thing about Unsolved Mysteries is that it essentially has an incredibly broad mandate as far as content, because it doesn't really necessarily have to be all missing persons or really even true crime. There's no crime when someone says they were abducted by aliens,
right?
Unless it's governed by some kind of maritime law of the sky or something.
Right.
But there isn't like a perpetrator that must be caught,
right?
And when you go back to the original run of the show, there's a lot of stuff like that. There's the long lost sister. I watched one where a woman got pulled out of a burning car and became a paraplegic because her spine was severed, but she would never have gotten out of the car. She would have died. And two dudes pulled her out of the car, and then she never saw him again. And then they did the update where they're like, we reunited them together. And she was like, this is great.
That's
I just
amazing.
wanted to say thanks.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It had this weird spread of shit that they would cover, from aliens to fucking Bigfoot, missing persons and murders and all that stuff.
Right.
And they didn't need an excuse to go super weird. It was just, here's something that's unsolved,
right?
Presented in a serious manner, and here are all the principal people to talk about it. So I don't know. I suspect this is being done better at other outlets, whether it's the Book of Murder.
It's not. It's not good at all.
I know people are into the First 48 and all that other shit, and everyone likes to be pulled into a true crime saga. But I had a spot for this. I like the 6 episodes, and I really like that you can watch all the old shit. I am into it. I'm watching that shit. There's a channel on Pluto TV that is just constant reruns of Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Pluto. I think Tubi. Like a lot of free stuff. I mean, it's just...
Is that Tubi? Because I read that Tubby in my mind every time, and it makes me laugh.
I think it's Tubi. Why would it be Tubby? There's one B.
I don't know. Is there a giant baby that's operating it? He's
like,
Tubby?
we're going to put this on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's putting the tapes in the decks.
Yeah. One last thing before we give our final verdict. The opening, not the opening theme song, because we talked about the theme song for the old one, which is awesome, but the opening images and credits of the first one are fucking hardcore. There's like a motorcycle crash. Yes. There's like guns shooting in a car. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's cool.
As a kid, it was like, oh, we're talking about some real shit.
Yeah.
Like they didn't show any violence or anything super weird, but like I watched the Roswell episode and they had alien corpses. Yeah, it was great. I remember that one from being a kid, and I remembered a couple other ones.
Do you remember one from a kid that really scared you as a kid?
I remember one. I thought it was the Roswell one, but I think it's the Phoenix UFO incident. I remember one where they had a lot of people talking about the UFO encounter, and they went into like kind of seeing like trucks and people come to the site and haul things away, and kind of being told like, you are not to be speaking about this again, and it scared the shit out of me. Like this Unsolved Mysteries 100% convinced me that aliens are real as a child.
Wow.
Which is a huge win for the show.
Yeah.
But that
creator of the show smoking a cigar. If we can get one little kid to believe,
one hairy child to believe in extraterrestrials, we're set.
We got a hit.
But I remember that one. I remembered one that's about a chair that's cursed, and if you sit on this chair in England, you die. And I watched that one today. And
which one is
it's
that?
Not as scary. It's
I gotta watch that.
It's called The Chair of Death. It's later in the run. It's like season 10 or so.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna watch that one.
Because they went. This show was on forever. It was on from like 88 to 2002.
Yeah.
And then Robert Stack died, and they did some with Dennis Farina.
Yeah.
Which are also on YouTube, but I didn't watch.
I love
any
Dennis
of them, even
Farina.
though, who doesn't? He's
great.
He's a legend of the mustache community.
Oh yeah. Great Chicago accent.
Oh, he's a hometown hero. He was in old style TV commercials in the 80s.
Ugh.
With the theme of which was that like East Coasters can't come here and drink our beer.
I bet you
he had to like take it away from them. Yeah,
that's amazing.
he'd wrangle all the old style.
Yeah.
But that I never. And as I read, I remember Virginia Madsen being the co-host for a little bit.
She was, yeah. The first episode was it was at first. I think it came out actually. The first iteration of it was 1987, and Raymond Burr was the first host ever for that special. And then they alternated between Carl Malden and Robert Stack before eventually going with Robert Stack. And I also loved Robert Stack. Yeah, great choice. I also loved Robert Stack at the end of every episode saying, you know, maybe you can help us. Yeah, maybe
he would always do shit like that.
Yeah, he's like, maybe someone can help us. Maybe they're watching now. Maybe it's
I just love that idea. Yeah, that shit is so good. I love that great. Now. And they're doing it with the new ones just without the narration. But I just love the idea that this stuff happened, and we know there's people out there that know about it. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of a forum to alert people that, hey, you may have witnessed something here that could really help us solve some weird shit.
It's a genius idea for a show because the truth is stranger than fiction. Everybody knows that.
It pulls you right in. Maybe I did see some shit.
Right, and it's like, this shit fucking happened. I remember when we were watching the new ones, the very first episode of The Guy in Baltimore, Zoe was like, oh, I've heard about this one. I heard about this on a podcast. Yeah, she listens to all murder podcasts and stuff like that, and she knew that story. And like, it's fucking wild, man. It's crazy.
It's interesting. I mean, clearly there's an appetite for this kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I'm not horrified that it's kind of more brand recognition than anything else.
Well, it is fascinating. It is. It's just inherently.
It just grabs you.
Yeah, it's inherently. I mean, especially like murder, all that shit. It's like there is something that's inherently unsettling, but in a weird way exciting about it. Like, it adds something to your life, some type of heightened element that you're thinking. You know, we all, on paper, I guess, we all have pretty normal, standard day-to-day lives. But especially right now in the pandemic, where we're all just reliving the same fucking day, same fucking routine, having that type of excitement is interesting. That's why, in my opinion, that's why Tiger King blew up the way that it did. Because it was
Tiger King,
so bizarre, and nobody had ever seen anything like that or a world like that, unless you really lived in Oklahoma or Florida. But it was it was what we needed at the time that it came out.
I agree, but there's a way to tell that story in an Unsolved Mysteries episode.
Yes, there is.
Like that, like I liked it. I didn't think it overstayed its welcome.
No.
That could easily be 45 minutes on Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah.
With some of the shit they did, and
Yeah.
fucking, the woman who killed her husband or whatever.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I mean, when it's time to vote, if we think it's still good, this is a hard yes. This is an extremely hard yes for me.
I agree.
Again, this is very similar to Goosebumps, where it's like, okay, I know I liked this as a kid. I want to watch this now that I know I easily can. Mm-hmm. But was a little scared if I'd still enjoy it, and it's awesome. I have this on all the time now. This is easily making it into the rotation.
What does Jackie think?
Hates it. Doesn't like it. I keep putting it on Pluto TV. She's like, we're watching this fucking shit again? I'm like, yeah, dude, we are.
What's her taste like in movies? Would you say it's like pretty good and similar to you, or would you say that you guys are pretty different?
It is extremely different from mine, which is good,
Yeah.
which I find interesting. I have a hard time curating content for her because it can be... She is not excited by the same things that I am excited by in film.
Oh,
so she
yeah.
doesn't...
Same with me.
She is not an easy sell on things that are outside of maybe reality. So,
yeah.
for instance, like aliens and monster movies and horror shit, she's like, well, this is dumb. I know it's not real. And I'm like, yeah, but you just be there for 2 hours. She's like, no, this
It's
fucking
interesting,
sucks.
yeah. That's.
But I showed her Die Hard, which she had never seen, and we saw at the Music Box, shout out, a year ago or so on the big screen, and she's like, this movie's amazing.
Yeah, I showed Zoe Die Hard like 2
great.
years ago. She loved it.
Yeah. So it depends.
I know what you mean. Zoe and I, one thing that we both love and agree on is horror. So that's awesome that we can both
good.
like watch horror, like scary fucking shit together and like get freaked out. And then fuck. But imagine if that was our thing, like, ooh, we got real scared. Come on, let's fuck.
No, it's like 20 years later, and you're like, we can't fuck unless we watch
a
some
horror
scary
movie. Yeah,
shit.
that's what
like
we
it's
need.
a 2-hour lead up to penetration.
Yeah.
We got to see multiple teenagers get murdered.
Oh yeah, we need to see knives and throats. But like, so we like horror. One thing that Zoe and I definitely don't always see eye to eye on, funnily enough, is comedy. She is like she is not into some of the same comedies that I am. But I won't say, but she doesn't have bad taste, because like every comedy that we've watched that she thinks is funny, I'm not like, that's not funny. But that's what she's like with me. Like, she can't get into Dumb and Dumber. Like, she's tried.
Yeah, I'm not going to show Jackie Dumb and Dumber. I was watching Airplane this weekend because it's on Netflix.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I was working through a little injury I had, so I was laid up for a bit.
Oh, what happened?
And I may have broken a toe.
What do you mean may have broken a toe?
I may have broken a toe.
Is this an unsolved mystery?
Well, I had one of my friends is a nurse, and she looked at it, and the conclusion was, yeah, you probably broke this toe.
How?
So I went to Michigan for the weekend.
Okay.
Which is like right next. If you're not down with your geography, it's like right next door.
Yeah.
To Illinois, where Chicago is. It's basically right there. And I was gonna play some golf. So I was getting my golf clubs out of the closet where I keep them, and I have a giant pair of bolt cutters, like the biggest shit, like crime committing bolt cutters. And I knew they were in there somewhere, but I got like coats and shit in the closet. So I'm looking up, like navigating through the coats to get my golf clubs out, and I get them out, and the bolt cutters were down below, and they kind of just tumbled in like slow motion, just fell directly onto my second to smallest toe. Oh. Like just straight on. And that's it. It just hit
Were
that
you
toe.
Barefoot?
Yeah. Oh no, I was wearing socks,
okay.
but I mean that doesn't fucking
yeah.
help. And I just started screaming. And Jackie was on a conference call, and she texted me. She's like, "What's happening out there?" I'm like screaming and like limping around the house because like,
how do you scream? How does Bear scream?
I was probably, it was somewhere in the neighborhood. It was very legitimate. It's not a thing I do a lot, but it was probably along the lines of like, And just walking around with a purpose.
Like Joe Pesci in
just
Home
yelling.
Alone, like creating your own language.
Yeah, just hating everything. It hurt really, really bad. But I didn't want to stop moving because that's like, the old dad wisdom. Like, oh, as soon as you stop moving on it, it's gonna swell up on you.
Yeah.
So, so went through that experience, and then drove to Michigan. And I was kind of limping around. The next day, like, had trouble sleeping at night, hurt like shit. It looked like a fucking plum. It's deep purple, and so I had to do a lot of ice, a lot of ibuprofen.
Yeah.
And we're feeling much better today. It's been 4 days. But I responded to that trauma by immediately not going to the doctor. So hopefully...
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you.
Apparently, it's one of the smaller toes. I don't want to go into the COVID zone. There's probably not much they can do for me anyway.
Yeah.
So we're monitoring the situation. But yeah, I ended up watching like half the airplane. And Jack was like, oh, someone at work told me this was really funny. Like, you're going to fucking hate this. It's all dumb jokes. Like, it's not, you're going to just think it's dumb. But she does like Bridesmaids and some other stuff.
Yeah, Zoe likes Bridesmaids. 40-Year-Old Virgin. Knocked Up. Yeah. I mean, 40-Year-Old Virgin's hilarious. Like
Bridesmaids
is amazing. Bridesmaids might be the best comedy of the 2010s. That and This Is the End, for me, personally, are just two.
Love This Is the End.
Really memorable. And Spy is so fucking funny.
Did not see that.
Oh my god, dude, you gotta see it. Melissa McCarthy and Jason Statham are so fucking funny in it. And Rose Byrne, everybody is hilarious in that movie. It's great.
Well, yeah, so
Unsolved Mysteries is still good for me too. And I had never seen it. I definitely can get more value out of the new ones just based on, I think, my taste and what I'm into now when it comes to that subject. However, I still enjoyed elements of the old ones. Not all of them. There were some that I was like, this is kind of silly and boring and bad acting. But
there's some that go longer than they should.
Yes,
and even some of the new ones seem like they go a little longer than they need to.
But some of them are. But like I said, Robert Stack's charm and just the inherent the inherent datedness of it just makes it funny in a way.
Well, it's a time capsule of fashion.
Like him walking with the
hairstyles for sure.
Him walking with the trench coat and the lights and just being like, December 4th, 1972. The
man has never smiled. I love it.
He hasn't. You're right. It's amazing.
So that's two hearty yeses. So I'd go so far as to say, watch that shit on YouTube if you're looking for something just put on. Yeah. Because it's not all gold, but when it's good, it's good.
Yeah, either one.
It's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, either one is really good. And if you agree with us or don't agree with us, shoot us an email at stillgoodshow@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at stillgoodshow. You can go to our website, stillgoodshow.com. Find us on Facebook. Is It Still Good? What are we doing next week, Bear?
Next week we're going to do Josie and the Pussycats, a movie I've never seen.
Me neither.
And I'm going to do my hardest to not pre-bias myself because I have a feeling I'm going to absolutely loathe this experience.
I have a feeling I will too.
All right, well, that sounds good. We'll see you next time, and you could decide if something is still good.
Ooh. See you later.